Purchasing a vehicle has never been an easy task, and even if it's your first, second, third, fourth, and even fifth time, we usually fall into these errors. Errors related to us purchasing vehicles at prices higher than what is worth, purchasing vehicles which does not actually relate to our daily activities, and even purchasing vehicles which are in trouble, or such as stolen vehicles. That's why in this video, I take time to detail 3 key main points. 3 key main points that if you follow, you will not actually fall into these troubles. Whether you are planning to buy a thermic vehicle or a vehicle that uses fuel, this video actually corresponds to you. Watch this video to the end, because by the end of this video, you will know this third point that will actually stop you from buying any stolen car. I assure you that if you don't watch this point, most of the cars you'll be buying in the future will be stolen cars. Welcome to this new channel. In this channel, we talk about cars, vehicles, and electric vehicles as a whole. So if you're interested in that content, kindly smash that subscribe button, like our video, and actually turn the notification bell not to miss any of our future videos. We also give you 2 tips on how to have a better experience with your vehicles. So the first thing to actually consider is to define your budget as well as your needs. Let me start with your budget. And what do I mean by this? We know whichever financial advisor will always tell us that whenever we want to have a purchase, whether it's a purchase of a cloth, whether it's a purchase of anything in our home, defining a budget ahead of time is always a wise financial thing to do. The same thing applies to vehicles. Defining a budget is actually a very wise thing to do. During my experience in the automobile field, I have noticed 2 kinds of people. And the third kind of person is actually one of the most interesting, which I will advise you to actually take his footsteps. So these first 2 people is actually, the first kind of person is the kind of person that doesn't actually define any budget. Like for example, he's interested in purchasing a vehicle. First of all, he hasn't defined his needs. So he doesn't first of all know the kind of vehicle he wants, nor the budget allocated for it. So what this kind of person actually does is that he actually loiters around, rotates in all types of dealerships, asks for cars online and all the rest. And since he hasn't defined any budget, all the cars to him are actually very expensive. Or even if he has defined a budget, or even if he has seen a vehicle which maybe corresponds to what he wants, he wouldn't take it because he hasn't actually defined a budget. And the thing that always happens to this kind of person is that whenever he even finds the vehicle, or the type of vehicle that he finds, it's always a vehicle in its worst state ever. So defining actually the budget is actually very important. The second kind of person is actually a person that actually takes time actually to define his budget, but whenever he sees even the vehicle and he wants to purchase the vehicle, when the vehicle actually corresponds to the rest of the points that I will giving you in this video, he will not buy it. He will actually be going again, loitering around, asking different people selling cars or asking different dealerships about vehicles. Meanwhile, the vehicles already corresponds to everything that I'll be telling you in this video. You see, so that's the second type of person that I will not advise you to actually be. The person that I will advise you to actually be as is someone who defines his budget, and whenever he sees his vehicle, whether it's the first person that proposes the vehicle and it corresponds to the other points I'll be telling you in this video, he actually just purchases. You know, purchasing the vehicle is not by having so many people proposing you vehicles that you will actually have the good deal. No. Whenever you see a vehicle and it corresponds to the rest of the steps I'll be telling you in this video, actually take that vehicle, because that is your vehicle. Whether it's the first person or the second or even the third person, just take time and take the vehicle, because it will eliminate you from so many problems, such as buying even vehicles which you thought were a good state but are not actually at the perfect state which you thought it was. The next thing is actually defining your needs, and this point is actually very crucial and very important, because you can't be, let's say, an Uber driver or a taxi driver and you are maybe planning to buy a vehicle such as maybe a Prado Land Cruiser. No, it doesn't actually correspond to your daily activities. You know, for a Prado Land Cruiser, yeah, you can have maybe a medical doctor, maybe that it corresponds maybe to his daily activities, or a businessman that does interurban activities that maybe corresponds to activities. If you're maybe like a poultry farmer, for example, buying maybe a mini pickup or a mini, a mini truck, it will be important for you because you will need to transport maybe, let me say, your eggs or your chickens from one place to the other. So that kind of vehicle will actually be important for you, or very correspond to your needs. And for example, if you're a taxi driver, an Uber driver, or a Clando driver, as we mostly see in our place here, buying a vehicle such as a Yaris, for example, or a Carina E, that is a vehicle that actually corresponds to your needs or corresponds to how you use it. You see, it's actually very self-intuitive and very self-explanatory. You have to buy a vehicle which corresponds to the type of activity that you will actually be running. Also, you have to take note of if you will be you'll be able to have the money to maintain this vehicle, because it's not all about buying a vehicle, but you also have to take into consideration the cost, let's say, of maintaining the vehicle, the cost, let's say, of being able to take care of the vehicle when it's let's say when it's on the breakdown. So the cost of actually these 3 points is actually very important. Knowing your budget, knowing your needs, and asking yourself if you will be up to standards or up to date to actually maintain this vehicle. Next point that usually arises is where to purchase these vehicles. Yes, due to my past experience in the automobile field, I've had so many people coming in, so many people who needs to buy cars who tell me that, yeah, they have actually wished to buy this type of vehicles, but they haven't actually known where even to buy it from, or maybe which individual to buy, which trusted individual to buy it from. And it's a very high question. And to this question, I will actually be giving you 3 main individuals from where you can buy your vehicles. You see, but I will also be giving you the advantages and the disadvantages. If you have watched this video to this point and you have not yet subscribed, please click that subscribe button, like, and turn on the notification bell not to miss any of our future content. Let's get into it. So this point is actually very crucial. The first type of individual is actually buying from a personal individual or a personal owner of a vehicle. There are so many people out there which, after having purchased vehicles, maybe even if they were imported from Europe or just from here in Cameroon or from anywhere in Africa or anywhere in your country where you're from, at a certain point when they have used maybe for 1 or 2 years, they want to resell it. Yes, these are potential individuals from where you can buy these vehicles from. But and from these vehicles, there are some advantages. Buying from this kind of individuals, most of the time the prices are lower or they are very affordable, because most of the people who actually want to purchase these vehicles, who actually want to sell their personal vehicles, most of them maybe are into troubles. They want to just like sell the vehicle, like to tackle with another one, or some of them want to upgrade to better versions of vehicles. So most of these individuals actually sell their vehicles at prices which are very affordable by everyone. You can have a very good car there at an affordable price, you see. But there are disadvantages to buying from personal individuals, and the disadvantages are actually very self-intuitive. Like, for example, you might be buying a vehicle from an individual who stole the car. Like I recently shared on my past videos, I had like a colleague of mine in a dealership which actually sold a vehicle, but this vehicle was actually stolen from the previous owner just 2 to 3 days later. You see, this is actually something that you can fall into, and one of the disadvantages from purchasing from a particular individual or from a single individual. You can buy stolen cars or cars that don't have all the documents, or cars that have certain problems that you cannot diagnose. So the second type of person, or the second type of area where you can purchase your vehicle from, is purchasing, let's say, from a garage. From a garage, or yes, purchasing from a garage is very good. It's very good because, first of all, you will tackle the problems of to be insured, to have some assurance on the type of vehicle that you have, and all the little problems you can check it. You can check it to see whether everything is actually functioning perfectly well on the vehicle before actually you purchase the vehicle. So buying from a garage can be a good thing, but there is this high complaint. This complaint of that most people, when they buy these vehicles, from actually showrooms or from garages, their prices are actually very high. But I don't actually see this problem as a problem that should worry you, because take into consideration, instead of buying a vehicle at the price that is higher and actually be assured that the vehicle is actually in good state, do you prefer this, or buying a vehicle that, for example, you buy it at a price that is lower, but you aren't actually very insured about the vehicle, the state of the vehicle, and all the rest? So this point is actually a good point. You can buy from a garage, and I would advise you to actually buy from here or from any other showroom that you actually consider to buy it from. The next place where you can buy a vehicle from, and is one of the most common and most recent revolutions now, is from the online space. Yeah, from online, you have so many, with the coming of internet, purchase of vehicles have been very, 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 very rising on the internet. And this is one of the main source of advertisement, which is good because you can have, if you are maybe wanting to purchase, let's say, a Prado Land Cruiser, for example, or a 4Runner, or any type of Toyota that you want, from online you can have a wide variety of choices. You see, if you don't want this one, you can actually choose the second one or the next one. So the variety of choices actually online is very actually, is very coastal, as they say in French, and you can have a wide variety. But there's actually a disadvantage to this, or a drawback, is that most from online, the coming of online, there are so many fake websites, people selling cars which are not actually real cars, people just building things to actually, just steal from people, so this is one of the main disadvantages of purchasing from online. As a summary, the first thing was to purchase from a personal individual, a single individual. Purchasing from, from a known showroom, or from, a known garage, or the next thing, you can also purchase from the online space. And I would advise you, if you are wanting to purchase a vehicle, whichever type of vehicle, whether it's a thermic vehicle or an electric vehicle, you can simply contact me or comment below this video, and I will give you everything, and I will put you in contact with the most trusted dealers which actually sell vehicles with all assurance. And yes, that third point that I know you were waiting for, is actually the types of documents the vehicle has. And this is one of the most crucial and most important things. And I tell you that if you take time to actually, go through this point, you will actually never be sold a stolen car. And these documents, I would divide this document into 4 main documents. The first is the document d'immatriculation, as they say in French, the immatriculation document. Knowing the immatriculation document of the vehicle you wish to purchase, in case it's a vehicle that has already been used, is very crucial and very important. And I will tell you why. Because the immatriculation document actually contains information such as the name of the present owner of the vehicle of the person that wants to sell you the vehicle. So knowing this immatriculation document's name will actually give you a good state, or a good point of actually knowing that this vehicle is actually a sure vehicle that you are purchasing. You will purchase a vehicle with the person's name on it, so you will not be sold a stolen vehicle. The next type of document that you actually have to take into consideration, which is one of these 4 documents, it's actually le document de non-gage, as they call in French. This is a document that actually tells you that the vehicle has no debt, or is in no troubles, no trouble maybe of owing somewhere. So this document of non-gage will actually save you from any problem that might happen with you in future. If you don't check this document de non-gage, you might purchase a vehicle today and you are caught on the road tomorrow that maybe this vehicle hasn't actually maybe, controlled or finished this type of payment, or any type of payment. This document of non-gage is actually one of these 4 documents that is very indispensable. The next type of document, which actually one of the most important, is l'acte de vente. This acte de vente is actually a signed document that the previous owner of the vehicle will actually sign and confirm that you have actually purchased this vehicle, and he has no hand on the vehicle again. So this acte de vente is actually very crucial and very important. The next is the document d'assurance, the assurance document. This document, in case once again it's a vehicle that has already been used, in your countryside, this document d'assurance is very important, because it will assure you that, coming out from there, if something happens, this document will actually save you from any type of trouble that you may have in the future. So these were the 3 key main points that you actually need to do. And if you do these 3 key main points, you will not actually fall into any type of troubles, such as buying a vehicle at prices higher than what is worth, buying vehicles which are maybe stolen, or buying vehicles which doesn't actually correspond to your need. So as a brief recap, you have to know your budget and know the purpose of why you want to use the vehicle. You also have to know where to purchase the vehicle, and as well know the documents of the future vehicle you wanted to purchase. If you like this video, don't miss out to give us a thumbs up, subscribe and turn on the notification bell not to miss any of our future content.